The feature presentation. What do you think about that logo?
Whoa!
I know, right? Do you want to tell everybody about that email you got, or no?
No.
Okay.
It's not.
Well, now I look like an idiot. Thanks, Matt.
No, it's a mystery for the listener.
Oh, maybe it'll be a buddy tale one day. Get us to 1 billion.
The legendary tale of the email I saw.
Well, could be $1 billion idea. I don't know how. $1 billion idea of seeing an email. Couldn't be any worse than
It was barely worth even sending you a text.
Hello.
Hello.
Who?
Who made you?
my dad. Like that To Catch a Predator, where he's like, just live here with my mommy and my daddy. And the guy's like, it's not a decoy. I'm like,
Good Lord, man.
Anyway, so this is Buddy Shots episode 80, and this is Bitch Week.
What week?
Matt Week. Mitch Week. But weird watches, what have you selected for us this week?
Yellowjackets.
And what is the feature presentation you've selected?
Ed Wood.
Shit, I didn't watch it.
No.
Like that one time we were like, okay, we're going to watch Fridays. And I was like describing it, and you were like, wait a minute.
I did the.
Well, they're not like numbered, so it's like you have to.
But for some reason, I just thought that the first video was the pilot, and I didn't even think about it any further.
It was also like the pilot isn't on YouTube, but like it's it
worked out for the best.
Yeah.
See our previous episode.
True.
Yeah. Should we get into it?
Yeah. So like the taglines for this week for Yellowjackets, there is no I in team, but there is in survival. Thoughts on that?
Lane.
Ed Wood. Movies were his prison.
They were his prison. He's like, I've been in prison by these movies. Ah!
No less than a minute, and I already fucked up. Movies were his passion. Women were his inspiration. Angora sweaters were his weakness. Yeah, that one's kind of like a little long in the tooth. When it came to making bad movies, Ed Wood was the best. That's the winner in my book.
I like it.
I don't know who came up with this other one. Like, once you have this one.
Who made who?
Who made him? It's like, shut the fuck up. How was your week?
It was good.
Good, man.
Just listening to Who Made Who on repeat. Not obsessed with it.
I like your shirt. You're sporting the little alligator.
Thank you.
I don't know what that brand is, but I think I had one of those when I was younger, but like definitely can't wear it now. I'm like, who made her? The shirt's like, I made you. Like, what?
That shirt, they do create us.
The shirts are like weaving me. I'm like, probably should do a sound check to make sure. Okay, good.
All right.
I need to like have one of those boards here that says number of weeks without sound loss. Because if it was fuck ups, it would be zero.
It would be zero every time.
Self-inflicted fuck ups. Shit, I have to erase it. Are you ready to get
there's no flashbacks in Indiana Jones.
I was like, who whipped who? That was hilarious.
But who made?
Oh shit. Trav chimed in, he says Lacoste. So maybe that's your shirt. At least I assume.
Knowledge.
Yeah, he's got the knowledge of the polos. And we've got the knowledge of the YOLOs. You only podcast once. Yopo.
That's true.
That's not true at all, actually. We do it each week. So you ready for
Nerd News?
Nerd News?
Yeah,
We've got a new logo here. I've made new logos for all of them. So.
You've been putting in the man hours in the laboratory.
Sound off in the comments what you think about the... Oh my god. Whoa! Okay, so do you have anything this week?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we talk about it almost, I was going to say almost all the time. They canceled the Batgirl movie.
Yeah.
After investing like $90 million in it, I guess.
I actually wasn't going to bring this up because I know how...
You're sick of talking about it.
Well, no. I don't think we've talked about Batgirl at all, actually.
Well, just comic book.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I know that you're not a huge fan of it. I'm a little bit more lenient on it on certain things, but like, to me, just the idea of investing more money I'll ever see in my entire life just to completely like can it and not even just release it on streaming is like the stupidest thing I've ever heard, especially when Michael Keaton is in it.
Yeah.
Like, that would have drawn people.
Oh, yeah.
Just alone.
It kind of makes me want to see it because, like, if what they release is what they think is good, then what they think is bad might actually be good.
Because, like, apparently it tested horribly, which means it was probably awesome.
Yeah.
Because the people that they're testing it against probably aren't actual focus groups. It's probably just themselves. Like, yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I was actually kind of disappointed in that because it was, like, a pretty diverse cast, and they had J.K. Simmons back as Commissioner Gordon. They had Michael Keaton as Batman. And they had Brendan Fraser coming back as, like, a villain. Man. Yeah. But, like, just all these people I actually like watching on film in a movie, and then they cancel it, yet they'll release, like, fucking Batman v Superman and think anybody wants to see that. Right. Like, dude, come on. That's, like, something you do, like, 50 years down the line if anybody wants to see it. Like, the first fucking time you see Batman and Superman interact in their universe as they're fighting, like, who gives a fuck? This was, like, a shit show.
It was not good.
Yes. The question is, who made who? Batman or Superman made me. I'm like, yee.
Made me want to stop going to see movies. And I did.
Yeah, it was those movies, not the 50 Marvel movies a year. But I was actually interested because I've not been super happy with, like, a lot of the stuff either side has really done recently, but at least, like, some of the DC stuff was, like, different enough to a degree. It wasn't like they can't, like, this seemed like it was going to be different, kind of, and then they were also going to do, like, that Flash movie, which kind of seemed different, but that's also had issues because Ezra Miller's going around being, like, a fucking creep and shit, and starting cults and, like, trying to get with minors. It's like, what the fuck is DC doing? But
do you have any nerd news?
Yes, I actually have some nerd news that to talk about here that I'm actually surprised you didn't talk about this because, like, you know, you've probably been a bigger Rocky fan than I have over the years, but this is a two-parter because when I first wrote down this news, I didn't know that there was a follow-up to this. Did you know about this or no?
You hear about this?
Sylvester Stallone slams new Creed spin-off.
Are you going to read the quote?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Drago says film was developed behind his back. So apparently, yeah, like, they're doing, like, a Creed spinoff, Drago. And Sylvester Stallone had no knowledge of it. He said, "Another heartbreaker," Stallone wrote. "Just found this out. Once again, this pathetic 94-year-old producer," this, anytime I'm yelling, it's in caps, and his moronic, useless vulture children, Charles and David, are once again picking clean the bones of another wonderful character I created without even telling me. I apologize to the fans. I never wanted Rocky characters to be exploited by these parasites. By the way, I have nothing but respect for Dolph, but I wish he had told me that what was going on behind my back. Keep your real friends close. And then we have a follow-up where, like, I guess somebody asked Dolph Lundgren, like, you know, your friend, like, Stallone's pretty hurt about this. What the fuck's going on? And he was like, "Just to set the record straight regarding a possible Drago spinoff, there's no approved script, no deals in place, no director, and I was personally under the impression that my friend Sly Stallone was involved as a producer or even as an actor. There was a press leak last week, which was unfortunate, in touch with Mr. Balboa, just so the fans can relax." There you go. So it was like Sylvester Stallone, who's had, like, a big issue with, I guess, like, the people that, like, own Rocky, even though he pretty much, like, created the character, because he, like, doesn't have any of the rights. So it's like he's always been like pissed that he can't have any sort of like say in it, and any time that like he wants to do anything with Rocky, he has to be with these people, and like they apparently went behind his back and he's like pissed about it and stuff. I should be the one, and stuff like that, which is, I guess, understandable with certain things. But like, that he blew up and then, fucking, what's his face was like.
Yeah, I don't know all the details behind it, but like, that's what happens. Like, they're a business. I'm sure at some point he signed it away. Yeah. So, but I just
think he just never got a chance to actually get a piece of it. So it's like,
I just think it's a bad look from Sly, like
to like flip out like that.
Yeah, it's kind of not classy.
Oh yeah, definitely not, for sure.
Like airing your dirty laundry.
He's like, I got a question for you. Who made who? And everyone's just like, But one of my favorite pieces of news that came out this week was the John Wick director says there's a distinct possibility John Wick could go to space. Did you hear about this?
No.
There's a distinct possibility it could. I don't know if he'd be piloting the ship, but could the character go? Even as a fan, I think the John Wick world is kind of fun and interesting. But the sky's the limit. We're not coming from an existing IP, so I don't have to follow Batman lore. I can do anything! I was like, that's just such a weird, like, thing to randomly say. Like, by the way, do you think that John Wick could go to space? I'm like, oh shit. But they've been good up to this point.
They've been good, but
I'm like, yeah. Whenever somebody asks that question and the person doesn't outright shut it down, unless it's like obviously like a sci-fi franchise, it's kind of like,
I still think the first one's best, but Mark Dacascos was the bad guy in the last one. It's like, that's automatically makes it amazing. So, bring it on.
I think they've all been good. It's just, it's kind of like with any franchise like that. It's kind of like diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But I mean, Keanu Reeves as like John Wick has been great.
Yep.
He also seems to put in the time it takes to become like engrossed in that character, and also like make the, like they spend the time to make the stunts cool and believable, and
yeah.
So.
Who wicked who?
He's like, do you have a recommendation, Nation?
Or... I recommend.
Oh, hold on.
You continue.
Oh,
to the next segment.
Fucking got me. Buddy tale.
I will tell a tale
on the next segment.
I was going into our top 5.
I actually have a new segment.
Okay.
It's called Redo Review.
Whoa.
So, if anybody watched the last episode, Matt talked about his favorite movie, Signs.
One of my favorites
from 2002.
Of all time.
And I have to apologize to Matt and eat crow because I did this thinking, I'm going to watch Signs, and I haven't watched it in so long. I like shit all over it and was like, fuck that movie. And I watched it and was like completely fucking blown away. And I didn't
Nice.
I didn't remember any of it. Like I think I was thinking of maybe some of the parodies that happened, or I was thinking of other things that happened. But like,
dude, that's awesome. I'm glad you liked it.
I watched it. I wasn't sure if we'd ever get around to it, but I just wanted to kind of maybe show a spotlight on it because obviously you talked it up and stuff. But definitely
Kicks
like
ass.
Mel Gibson and Joaquin Phoenix like kick ass in this film. This is definitely before. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix had success before, but like obviously like now he's like a huge commodity. Mel Gibson sadly isn't as wanted as he used to be, but like definitely in this movie, both of them, it's like when we watch Mario and Luigi with like the relationship between the brothers, and like the whole thing of Mel Gibson, like his acting with like Joaquin Phoenix, it's like definitely like the only times I think that rival it that I've ever seen is like in the Lethal Weapon films when he gets really like emotional, and it's like that's something I think Mel Gibson does well. He just doesn't, since he did a lot of action films, he never got a chance to really do it because a lot of it was just anger, kill, kind of thing.
That's what made Lethal Weapon special. Was like the first scene of the movie is him putting a gun in his mouth and like crying. It's like
he like lost his like wife or whatever.
It's not your typical start to an action movie.
But yeah, I just had a few things like the slow build up of the film, and like I forgot that they actually like in the last 30 minutes of the film, it's essentially like the Earth has been World of Worlds has been like taken over. And like
it's scary. I think it's really scary, but I also think there's a ton of humor. Like, did you enjoy some of the humor?
Yeah.
Like I think what cracks me up the most is when they're like, they think the alien, or they think it's like the local brothers.
I actually had that as my favorite line where they're going outside, and so like Mel Gibson says, I'm insane with anger. And then he says, I'm losing my mind. It's time for an ass whooping.
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah. Because he's like a
he doesn't know how to trash talk.
Yeah, he used to be like a pastor, so he never cussed or trash talked. So he's like cuss, and he's like, you want me to curse? He's like, when I do it, it's not believable. And he's like, well, make like sounds. And he's like, explain sounds. And it's like this whole back and forth between them before they went outside was like ridiculously funny.
We talked about it last time, but like, how did M. Night Shyamalan go from writing like such a clever, like smart script with great dialogue to like now it's like gibberish?
Yeah,
what happened?
It's weird because this, like you said, like I thought that this one, because all of his other films are essentially just twist films, this one's really the only one that doesn't have a twist except for kind of like their weakness, but that's more of like a holy shit moment. I guess it's not really like a twist, it's more so like a, kind of a what the fuck. Mm-hmm. But like, yeah, it's kind of like Sixth Sense. He did this awesome like take on paranormal. It's kind of like he was like John Carpenter, where he was like doing his take on things like UFOs and aliens, and he had like his take on superheroes. And then it was like he started writing just random bullshit that like Lady in the Water and like The Village and the Village.
Is he his latest one?
No,
dude, it was.
Well,
it's like Ed Wood.
Yeah,
like it's like no one talks like the characters in these movies. It's like so weird.
Yeah. The only like I only had a couple.
It's like The Room level,
right? Where it's like
horrible acting. It's just like, what happened?
One of the weirdest things in this film though was not the aliens. It was like the recruiter. He was like an alien.
Yeah.
He's like, it's weird that like he's like, you could be a major league baseball player and getting your toes sucked by women, and I was like, what? It's like, is this guy like related to Tarantino?
I love when like the locals, like high school girl, confesses to Mel Gibson.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want any of you spending time alone with this.
Just like little hilarious dialogue like that, like makes it so good.
I think Mel Gibson does that dry humor best, or not best, but really, really well, because he does it a lot in Lethal Weapon 2 and other films. There's another weird part where like a dog gets killed, but is somehow whimpering and growling at the same time, and I was like, who did who? I was like, and yeah, it's funny because I went into this thinking, man, this is gonna be fucking stupid because of the whole water thing, but it was like earlier in the film, I think they almost kind of allude to it because like Joaquin Phoenix is like, it's like World of Worlds, and just like a simple thing that brings down aliens, like. Because he says it's like World of Worlds, and in there it's like a disease destroyed them that they didn't even like think of. Whereas in this one it's like water, and it's like, yeah. So it was kind of like, holy shit. I definitely like cried like at the end of the film.
I told you, dude.
Embracing.
It'll get you.
I did have one thing that was kind of like iffy in this to me, and it was like. I think it kind of foreshadowed for future M. Night Shyamalan films, and it was him putting himself in the film, which is fine. Yeah. But his acting was a little like
that's never good.
Yeah,
it's always distracting.
Yeah, it wasn't really great because there's a part where like when they first show him in the film, because he's the one that kills Mel Gibson's wife, and like all of them look over at him. Like he's like, they're like, who is that? Mm-hmm. Like he's like a god, but it turns out he's like the person. But in later films, it's like in The Lady in the Water, he's like the writer that will one day create like a book that will like, he's like the Jesus Christ of literature. And I'm like, dude, how far up your ass can you be to? I mean, it's one thing to write that kind of a script, but then to also put yourself as the starring role. Like Kevin Smith puts himself in the films. But he puts himself in a non-talking role just to be alongside, like, Jason Mewes. Like, I don't know. I've always thought that was weird when
I agree.
people do that, especially because he's alongside, like, master actors like fucking Mel Gibson and fucking Joaquin Phoenix. And like, yeah. But that was one thing that I was kind of like, at first I was like, I remember him being in the movie, but I forgot he was kind of like a central part of the film. And I was like, come on, man. But at least it wasn't as bad. Like, yes, Lady in the Water. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff in this film, so I would definitely recommend, like Matt said, if you haven't watched it, or if you have watched it and you're like me and you're like, man, this fucking movie was dog shit, go back and watch it again, because I think you'll be surprised that like what you thought was, you know, like stupid at the time, or maybe you had preconceptions about like when you watched it. Like, I think a lot of people might have got caught up in later films of the hype and been like, fuck this director, which is understandable for like his shit now, because I don't even watch films that have M. Night Shyamalan attached. So these days, but it made me want to go back and watch like his first couple ones, like Unbreakable and
I just watched Unbreakable again recently. Yeah, still holds up, man. It's
awesome. His first couple ones were fucking like awesome. That's everybody was so excited because they were like, this guy that kind of came out of nowhere is fucking kicking ass. And
totally unique vision, and I like that, but it's just gone off the rails, and it's like,
I don't really know what. Yeah, it's almost kind of like different. It's a completely different person making these films now, which is weird.
Just got lucky, had a hot streak.
Yeah, could be, or maybe he used his 3 best scripts, and they were like, "Come on, we need more, one a year," and then he was like, "Oh shit, I'm fucked." Yeah, man. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
Good stuff.
I'm glad you went back and reevaluated.
Yeah. I'm like, I watched it.
And it's okay for opinions to change over time. Like, it would almost be weird if it didn't. You know?
Well, I just have to say, you know, I don't know how many more times that this will be something that, like, I do or you do, but, like, I'm glad I did it, because it was one of those things where, like, now I want to go back and watch it, like, with the commentary if there is some, or watch the special features, because I know those early films, he actually had, like, stuff like that on his films. Yeah. But I'm glad I did it, because I also wouldn't want to keep having, like, a preconceived notion about a film that I held when it first came out, and then, like, essentially years later be like, damn, dude, I completely missed out on that film, or, like, you know, keep slamming a film when it doesn't deserve it.
Yeah. Cool, man.
So, yeah, are you ready to move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
What are we doing here? Weird? Or are we doing top 5? Or?
Weird. Okay. Watches.
Weird watches. Okay. So.
Who watched who?
The show's like, and I'm like. So Yellowjackets, I guess, how did you... I had heard about this, but I wasn't sure.
I don't remember how I even heard about it, but I think I heard that it had Christina Ricci in it, and I really like her a lot. And I hadn't seen her in a while, so I was like, make a note to watch Ricci,
and I didn't know that, like, Juliette Lewis was in this.
Me neither.
I was just like, dude, holy shit, she's legit too.
And Melanie Linsky, like the lead, I've seen her in a few things. She's always great too. So, like, those are the 3 actresses I'm familiar with, and I like them a lot. It's
kind of reminded me of Pretty Little Liars to a degree, because they had all these like characters that were, like, you know, joined by something, you know, like kind of a secret, and like it's like kind of slow burn build. But I guess before we get too far into that, this is Yellowjackets is an American drama television series created by Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson. Knickerbocker. It stars an ensemble cast led by Sophie Nilise, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Sophie Thatcher, and Sammy Hanratty for, like, I guess, like the younger teen versions, because it kind of goes back and forth. And then their grown-up versions, Melanie Linsky, Tawny Cypress, Juliette Lewis, and Christina Ricci, portraying their adult counterparts. And essentially, it tells the narrative of, like, high school soccer players, and they get into this fucking, like, crash, like an airplane crash when they're going to, like, finals or whatever. And their survival 25 years later.
So what'd you think?
When I first was watching it, I was kind of like blown away and stuff by like the first little bit of it, and then it kind of does the thing where it kind of like shocks you in the first little bit.
It shocks you.
Those chases. And then it kind of cuts to like modern day and kind of slows it down a bit. But then it kept going back and forth and shows little bits and pieces of when times were better, and then it shows when, you know, things are kind of like more, you know, like drastic and stuff. So it's kind of all over the place, but it wasn't like confusing, which was good. Like that's something that like...
Yep. It could have easily been confusing.
Yeah, because like when you do like things where it's like flashbacks and like stuff like that, but they did a good job of like whenever they would show like a flashback, it would almost always tie into something that had either preceded it or that came after it. Because there's a specific part where like I guess one of the teens is with like her boyfriend and she just got done like doing some like sexual stuff with him. And then the next scene is like the adult version of that character like using like a object to please herself in the modern day. So it was kind of like, you know,
you were like, nice editing.
I was like, fucking they understood, you know, because otherwise like people would be like, okay, well like I guess this is like, you know, because if they had just shown some random lady, you know, people, but it's like obviously supposed to be her because it's also in the same room, and it's like they did a good job of kind of like tying it all together.
Yep.
Or at least in the, you know, similar enough area. Yeah, I don't know. What did you think?
Kind of the same thing as you. Like, as the show started, I wanted to like get into what happened after the plane crash, like right away, and was kind of like, I hope they get to that soon.
Like them surviving.
Yeah, the survival part, because there's really hardly any of that in the first episode.
Right.
But I've kept watching, and I'm like maybe a third of the way through it, and it's just getting better and better. Like the mystery is evolving in the present time, and that's like just as interesting as what happened.
That's how it was with like
Crash. So.
Pretty Little Liars, where it was like they had, because like Reese Witherspoon, a bunch of other actresses are in that, and it's kind of like the same thing where it's like the mystery is shown kind of, something happens in the beginning, and then it kind of like starts. From there. And
also Christina Ricci becomes more prominent in the show, and she's so good.
Yeah, she wasn't really in the first episode at all, but like her character,
she hams it up. She gets to ham it up.
Fucking insane person.
Yeah, it's great.
Like as a kid, she's like insane.
Yeah,
and then
she's like the wild card basically. So I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
Nice. Yeah. So I guess we won't have to ask the question if you kept watching
because
you did. I haven't watched any more of it yet, but only because I took time out to watch Signs and that kind of a thing. Yeah. So I was like, I want to do this first, and then I'll go back and watch some more of it.
Cool.
But yeah, I liked it.
It's pretty well done.
It's also one of those things where like you can tell they gave a shit when they were shooting it. Like it looks good. It doesn't look cheap, and like the actual like the plane crash part is like, what the fuck, dude? This is like, I don't know.
Horrific.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It's humorous.
And it's good writing. It's not just, the characters don't just speak in like horrible monologues like a lot of bad TV that we watch. So
yeah. That and like, I don't know, it reminds me of also like Karate or like Cobra Kai, where like the teenagers interact together as like people and not as like, they're not like listing off like what they think a character would say in the Goonies or something. It's like so many times watch something and it's like, let's try and make this character like a character from something that we liked when we were young, and it's like I also like the music selection since it was in the 90s.
Yeah, dude, the first song you hear is Smashing Pumpkins, and I'm like, dude, I'm in.
They're like, who smashed him?
Also, there was a bit of your favorite long pig in the show.
Yeah.
And I love in like cannibal movies, like when the characters are eating the meat, they're always like,
it's
like into like monsters.
They all turn into fucking like the guy from Lord of the Rings 3.
Yeah,
they're like, it's like in the set of night, shadows.
Yeah, great call on the music, because like the characters are pretty much like our age when we were in the 90s and our age now.
Yeah.
As like old men.
Yeah. Old men.
And so like that music is like right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
Hence 9.95.
Yeah.
But like definitely I wrote down here Informer. I had to look. I've never known what these lyrics are, and I looked them up. And it's like it's literally just blah, 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 blah. But like it's like, say daddy, me snow, me I'll go blame. A licky boom boom down. Detective man said daddy snow, I stabbed somebody down the lane. A licky boom boom down. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like half those aren't even sentences.
I've never looked up the lyrics.
Yeah, but it's a legit song.
Great song.
I guess don't make me or don't make me.
Don't make me.
Don't let me make it sound like shit because it's awesome. It's like Informer.
Oh, it's classic.
I always thought it was
the first time I heard that song. I was like, what is this?
I always thought
this
it was Licky
amazing.
Boom Boom the House, but it's not. It's something worse or weirder. It was a weird listen, not a weird watch. And then they had another song. It's got good vibrations.
Oh yeah, Marky Mark
dun,
and the Funky Bunch.
Sweet.
I love that song.
Yeah, it was funny because like
good like sun kiss.
Yeah,
make you want to know who done this.
It's like you. Yeah.
But he's right about one thing. Sunkissed is good.
It always burns my throat, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah! And the Sunkiss is like in my stomach. It's like, who burned who? I like how we just keep talking about that because it's so fucking stupid. After the podcast last week, we went out to eat, and Matt brought up AC/DC, who made who, and I was like, I'd never heard of this before. And like
the best
he talked about it, and I was cracking the fuck up because we were talking about what was it, the movie?
Yeah, I can't think of it right now.
But it was like Stephen King's directorial movie.
It'll come to me.
But in that movie they play that, and you're like, what are you talking about? Who made who? Fucking the machines didn't make the humans.
Yeah, it's like, not a question.
But
Maximum Overdrive.
Okay.
That's like the opening credits plays over Who Made Who. Or Who Made Who plays over the opening credits.
Who played who?
And it's amazing.
Oh shit, Trav says Scary Movie 3 next week.
Dude.
Due to our
Scary Movie 3 is great.
Because we were talking about signs. Which we actually talked about that last week.
Yep.
So
if I hadn't drank that exact bottle of Jack Daniels, this never would have happened.
Yeah, it's like I remember when I was watching Signs, all I could think of was the part where she's pinned against the tree, and he's like, "Can I have sex with her lower half or whatever?" He's like, "How?" He's like,
"I will need a ride home."
Yeah, he's like, "She can talk," and he's just like, "Don't ever." She's like, "Don't get remarried. Don't ever like have sex with another woman." And he's just like, "Sorry, you're fading, honey. Sorry, you're dead." It's like, Jesus.
There was also one really stupid joke where the female cop comes to like visit them.
Every time she does her hack, it's bigger. Yeah.
That's like a very like airplane-esque joke. Good stuff.
Dude, hilarious. I honestly was thinking that same thing when I was watching fucking Signs. Because she kept showing up and I was just like, is her hack going to get bigger? So we had a bone coming out of the leg Tom Green style here. That's the only thing I could think of.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, her bone, her leg bone came out and fucking, yeah. Her leg bone. My leg bone. I thought it was really interesting. Well, not interesting, but it was kind of like, they showed how kind of in charge the one lady was, or like the one girl, because like they all were getting into a fight and about to like fucking go to blows, and then she just walked over and was like, "Everybody come with me right now," and they just like all stopped and listened to her. It was just like, and she wasn't like mean, she was like, take charge, like everybody respected her. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, that's how you fucking write a character without having to like explain everything. Yeah. It's like, come on, man.
Look, I'm your sister. I'd do anything for you.
Yeah. And then
no one has to remind them, their siblings, that they're their sister or brother.
Right. I don't. Yeah. Whenever I like hang out with Trav, I'm not like, hey, you're my brother. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just. I don't know. Oh, speaking of the whole like when the girls come out and they play that like Good Vibration song, when the boys like they suck. So they're like, yeah, everybody give a hand for them, and you know, they clap a little bit. But then like the girls come out and they're going to like the finals, and it's just a good vibration. And everyone's like, woohoo! It's like, it's funny because it's like, it's funny to kind of see that, because I don't know if that would have been something that, at least maybe it would have in where we live.
Dude, that
like,
totally happened.
Did it?
The girls basketball team, remember, they went to state.
I don't remember that at all.
You weren't really plugged into the sports scene.
Yeah, I could give a fuck less. I don't think, was that like a
It was a huge deal for those who cared about sports.
Yeah. AK no one.
Okay.
If I didn't care about it, it didn't happen. The thinking of a true progressive. No, I'd say like our school was like definitely a sports thing. I mean, I think that's how most schools are. The like they give a shit more about sports than actual education, because that's what makes them money, I guess. But like, yeah, I don't remember any of that, and I think like, I guess you know, you remember it, but then again, I also wasn't like, I don't know. Did you travel with any of those teams with like band and stuff?
I didn't travel, but I had to play at all the home games. So.
Yeah. I mean, you knew about it too, just in general from that. Like, I think if I was in band, I probably would know more about it too, just even if I didn't care about sports, which I'm sure there was a ton of people that didn't care about sports that were in band. They just, you were saying, like I wasn't in band and I was removed from that. So it was essentially when I would go to school and just come home. So I was like, I'm not going to these games. What did you think about like the whole like? I kind of thought this was gonna happen, but the whole like cheating thing, where like her best friend like cheats on like with her her best friend's boyfriend. Mm-hmm. I was
makes
like,
for good soap opera.
I was like, damn, dude. And then Jesus fucking. The young Christina Ricci is like watching a rat drown, like swimming, trying to get out, and she's just like watching it, and I'm like, she didn't have like a lot of scenes in this, but it was like any scene that she was shown, it was like the character, like you said, is kind of like, ugh.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's some good stuff. I'm trying to think if I have any really notes that are worth talking about.
Plane crashes are always scary in movies. Yeah. Like, that's something I have recurring nightmares about, plane crashes, for whatever reason.
Yeah. So. I don't know if I've ever had, like, a nightmare about it, but it's definitely something that, like, anytime I've ever flown, it's, like, the thing that's forefront in my mind, especially when you, like, go through turbulence. Because when you go through turbulence, for the pilot, it's not a big deal because he's done it so often. But, like, for the person in the plane, they're like, dude, this is fucking hell. Because you're like flopping all over the place.
This is hell.
I mean, unless you're like
the wonder of flight is pure hell.
It is, honestly, because it's like one of the only things you can't control. I think that's also what makes it so scary. Is like nobody you know, unless I guess like your acquaintance is a pilot and you're flying with them, is in charge.
Yeah. Like
obviously, like I'm not driving every time we go everywhere, but like. You know, I trust that you know what the fuck you're doing because you've been doing it so often.
That's where you fail.
Maybe tonight will be different. You'll cut the car in half and I'll be like...
Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. I honestly, when I was watching this, I was wondering if this is like somewhat related to like Wendigos at all. Mm. Because like it was like the whole eating... of
like ravenous
other humans and stuff is like something that like is a huge taboo just in general, but has been assigned like a fucking disgrace in like First Nations, like Native Americans and stuff like that. Like yeah, it's I don't know, because it's one of those things where it's like they can never like fill their hunger once they started doing it. So it's like, and I think that's like something that like comes a lot with, like you said, like Ravenous the movie or like other stuff where like they usually show like once you get a taste for like human meat, it can become like insatiable.
That's why every time I watch Ravenous, it makes me hungry.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's the beef?
Where's the beef, that old lady? Like, I'm like, I saw it. We got some elder abuse at the end of this, just like how there was like animal abuse in this too. There's quite a few. There's a part where like one of the older grown-up persons like kills a rabbit. It's like that's eating her like garden, but it's like these characters have no issue with it.
That rabbit got munched.
Yeah. And then young Christina Ricci, Missy was smiling after eating the raw pink meat yappa pie. Nice. Yeah, she like eats and then takes off her hood and she's like, "It was me all along." And she's like loving it, and I'm like, "This is fucked up," because all these other characters
turn
are
into
just,
golems.
Yeah, eating it to eat, and she's like, I'll turn into golems. They're like 15 birds and a motherfucking tree. Like, holy shit. And then it kind of ends on a plane crash. And I was like, dude, this is filmed really well.
Yep. Quality.
Yeah. Quality over quantity, even though there's still multiple episodes.
I wanted science fiction. I got science fact.
I still laugh about that every once in a while since I said that last week because it's so stupid. It's like, what? I'm like, this is pure fact. I'm like, we are now able to travel to other systems due to our race with the Soviets. But yeah, I mean, overall, I definitely have this as a plan to keep watching it.
Cool.
I liked it. It was just, it's a slow burn, but it's definitely something that I'm sure if you continue with it, it'll be worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Hell yeah. Okay, so are you ready to move on to the top 5?
Let's do it.
So this week, it's all about Mr. John Deppward. Deppweed. So we've got our top 5 Johnny Depp roles, I think it was, right?
Yep.
I looked at you and you were looking down and I was like, shit, did I fuck up? It was like silence.
Like top 5 Johnny Depp trials.
Well, the other one I proposed was top 5 Tim Burton films, and then you were like, let's do Johnny Depp. You know, you went, Depp. And I was like, okay. So, do you have yours in order?
Yes.
Mine are not, but I'm going to put them in order as we go along.
All right.
Because I just threw them together and was like, I can pick from these, I'm pretty sure. Since it's Matt week, I'll let you go first.
All right. Number 5. Tusk.
Ah.
As Guy Lapointe.
I knew you were going to put a joke pick on that.
It's not my top 5, but it's probably close.
You already did that. I was going to have that be one of the joke picks too, but
I do think he's funny in that.
He is, yeah. But it's definitely not like a real role.
Yeah.
It's like a role that like it's kind of like the Al Pacino role in Jack and Jill. It's like
the legendary dunk.
It's like the highlight of the film, and an otherwise.
Yeah. He plays the same character in Yoga Hosers.
Yeah. He comes back. He's like a detective or whatever. Yeah.
Public Enemies.
Nice.
The movie was...
Who's he playing that?
He plays Dillinger. John Dillinger.
I actually haven't seen that.
It's really good. Yeah. It's Michael Mann that directed it. One of my favorite directors.
Who is this Michael Mann?
Who is that Michael Mann?
He's like...
I think it wasn't a huge hit at the time because like he used weird digital photography, which kind of felt weird for like a 30s gangster movie.
Oh, okay.
But Johnny Depp's great in it. Christian Bale's the other lead. He's great in it. So it's an awesome movie.
Yeah, he's always awesome, honestly.
Yep. Even in Equilibrium.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like him. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Like we were saying, it's like Jeffrey Combs or like Sean Bean. It's like certain movies that people are in are like Gary Oldman. The movies could be absolute shit, but they're they're giving it. I've never seen a film where they don't try. You know, they're doing what they were paid to do. So my number 5 would probably be Edward Scissorhands, or whatever the fuck. It barely makes the list, but I haven't seen enough Johnny Depp films to make a full list that wasn't. You know what I mean? I don't love the film, but it's kind of like if you took like, I don't know, like a Tim Burton film and mixed it with like a John Waters film. It's kind of like got that, you know, interesting 40s kind of atomic age thing, which this movie kind of is too, Ed Wood. But
it's higher up on my list.
Nice music. It's got awesome people in it though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great film. I think it's just, I seen it recently and I was like, I liked it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not higher up.
It's got your boy from Halloween Kills, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah?
He's like, Scissorhands dies tonight.
He's like, A-M-H, the whole fucking show. I'm like, Didn't he get munched by Michael?
Moore? Yeah, I think so. Michael Moore.
He's like bowling for Columbine.
I'm like, more, Michael.
Look up, look down, look out.
What's your number? I guess it's my turn.
How dare
number
you
4
ask
for
a
me,
question.
maybe my favorite of his movies, Nick of Time.
It's another one I haven't seen.
Dude, it's so good. It's like, it's one of those movies that takes place in real time over the course of like 90 minutes. And basically, Christopher Walken's the bad guy, and he kidnaps Johnny Depp's daughter and like forces him to commit a assassination, or else he'll like kill his daughter.
So it's kind of like, what's it called? Like, freaking, what's the one with Bruce Willis? The third one where he has to do all that shit.
Die Hard 3.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but it all happens and like the clock's ticking, and it's just a good thriller.
That sounds awesome.
And Christopher Walken is always a great bad guy.
Yeah, he's awesome in everything.
Yeah, Nick of Time, highly recommended.
Nice. Should have been called Johnny of Time, or Johnny in Time, not of Time.
It's kind of a dumb title because his character's name is Nick. Like that's the worst thing about it.
That's pretty funny, actually. What the fuck?
Nick of Time. Actually, wait a minute. Now that I think about it, thumbs down.
My number 4 is Jack Sparrow.
Nice.
From Pirates of the Caribbean.
Definitely his most iconic.
Sadly, there was no malt beer. Yeah, I think that like, so this is like role wise, but like I would probably rearrange these if it was like movie wise, because like obviously like Pirates of the Caribbean is like holy shit, but as they went on they were like shit. So it was like, but he was always awesome in it. Yeah. So, you know, I think for being consistent, he's fucking awesome. You know, and I also like I've seen other films with him, but you know, it's like if he's in it for 5 seconds, it's like he point. He was awesome, but I can't be like fucking greatest role.
It can't be understated how huge that movie was,
and
how like popular he was at the time. He was like the nation's like hero.
He was the hot topic, man. They essentially like took a fucking ride and turned it into a fucking multi-billion-dollar franchise. Like, come on.
Yeah, number 3. This is a little bit off-brand for me, but A Nightmare on Elm Street, his first movie.
I saw that he was branded in there. Or branded.
He got branded.
Freddy's like, woo! I feel good.
Because I'm not really into slashers, but I really think
Nightmare
that's a
on
great
Elm Street
movie.
is like iconic.
Yeah.
It's kind of like as much
the
as
first one.
As much as I'm not a fan of like horror, like some horror movies, like I'm not a fan of like the Jason movies or the Freddy movies or like the later Halloween movies. I can't deny the originals are like iconic. I mean, if they were shit, they wouldn't have made a billion movies.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp, like, even like he's pretty young in this, obviously, but you can tell like he's super charismatic. Yeah, and you're like, it's one of those performances.
He's got super.
He's super. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. How about you?
My number 3 is gonna be Donnie Brasco. Joe Pistone.
See our previous episode.
Yeah. For the Fugazi.
Forget about it.
Don't watch other podcasts. They're Fugazi podcasts. But yeah, he plays like... it's funny because like he's all over the place on this list, but like some of my more favorite roles is when he's not like out of control.
Yep.
Like I did
definitely more subtle in that.
Yeah, like I like when he does the character thing, but I also like when he just kind of plays Johnny Depp and just kind of like pulls it in and stuff, and is himself more, like you said, like more subtle and stuff. And that movie was legit. That was a good pick by Trav. Sure. So yeah.
All right, number 2.
We're getting down to the nitty gritty.
Sleepy Hollow.
Nice.
That movie's really, really good. He's great in it.
Yeah.
He could have easily, like, it's kind of a silly character, but he could have easily been like Guy Lapointe, but he like reins it in just enough to make it just a great.
He Roman reigns it in.
Yeah. But it's got one of my, I don't know why this line like always stuck out to me, but it's like one of the best deliveries of a line I've ever heard in a movie, where he's talking to Christina Ricci and he's like, "Are you a witch? Because you've bewitched me." And I'm like, that's a silly line, but he says it like so seriously.
I know exactly
it's
what
like,
you're talking
dude,
about.
That actually hits home. Like, so good.
He bewitched you.
He did.
You know what's funny is because I think that one of the dudes that's in Ed Wood is in that film too. The guy that played Lydia's dad, right? Yeah. So
the principal from Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. Which
like Bueller.
He's not really in stuff anymore. But
he got canceled.
I guess do we want to get into what happened?
No.
Okay. I was going to say you said canceled, but it's not really canceled.
Yeah, just Google it if you're curious.
I don't even know his name, but...
Jeffrey Jones.
Okay. You're like, Jonestown. My number 2 is going to be Ed Wood.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He's great in Ed Wood.
Edward Woodward.
He's...
is it Ed Wood? Damn it! Woodward?
Is it you or is it me? When we were watching it, I was
together.
Like,
we were like,
he's perfectly cast as Ed Wood.
Oh yeah.
Like there could have been no one better than him, I think.
You know what's so funny is when I was watching this, I saw a little bit of. This could be controversial to say this, but I was not a fan of him as Willy Wonka. People might like that. That's totally fine. I think it's just coming from. What's his name as Willy Wonka? The guy that's in Blazing Saddles and a bunch of other stuff.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. And he's just kind of a creep with Willy Wonka. But like he'll do this high pitched kind of squeaky voice, and it's like the same voice he does in Willy Wonka. But it was kind of like earlier when we were talking about M. Night Shyamalan putting himself into films and later becomes a full-blown thing. It was like he took that tiny little bit from Ed Wood and he made it a whole fucking character. Which is, I mean, it just goes to show you how good of an actor he is. He can take just a tiny thing and expand on it, like other character actors and stuff, like Mike Myers and stuff. But like,
I didn't like that movie, but I didn't hate
like
it as much
hate
as
it.
everyone else
Yeah,
did.
I thought it was kind of a little misguided.
I can tell you, I hated his Alice in Wonderland.
I've never
that's
seen
one
that,
of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
The stuff I saw of it was so CG-tastic, and it was like essentially taking all the worst qualities from any of his characters, like Tonto, Jack Sparrow, that like you hated. Even if you like those characters, if there's one part of those characters you hated and you distilled it into like its most purest form, that's like the Mad Hatter in fucking that movie.
Yeah, everything about that movie sucks.
It fucking sucks, Woody. So what's your number 1?
Edward Scissorhands.
Nice.
Love that movie. I think it may be Tim Burton's best movie. He's got a lot of good ones.
I think Batman's definitely my favorite for sure.
Might be Ed Wood. But
yeah, I don't know actually. I'd have to like look. Maybe we will do a top.
He's got a lot of winners.
Yeah, Tim Burton.
But
he's kind of like M. Night. I think he's kind of fallen off recently, but he fell off. Where the hell did he go? He went Ed Wood week.
To me, it's a very emotional movie because it's basically about like embracing an outsider, which is a very like touching thing, kind of like Ed Wood.
Yeah,
has similar themes, but
yeah, it's always cool.
It's the most Tim Burton-y stylistic.
It's just fucking Tim Burton.
It's Tim Burton-y.
Mini-me. Yeah, that's always something I like in movies when like a total piece of or not a piece of shit. Like an outcast or like someone that would be possibly like shown as a monster actually gets like. It's essentially like a modern day Frankenstein.
Exactly.
Monster. But I just like that when they're like, hey, we have like this monster, but he's like not really. He's not like a human that like kills like a real monster. He's just looks different or he acts different. Like that's not a monster. That's just a misunderstood person. So, but my number one is Ichabod Crane, Sleepy Hollow.
Nice.
Honestly, I could put Ed Wood and Ichabod Crane like toe to toe.
Nice.
To me, they're super close. It's just if I had to rank them. But we'll have to go back and watch that and do it for the podcast because it's been a while.
Sleepy Hollow, like, it had the potential to be like the greatest movie of all time, and it kind of like craps out in the third act a little bit. But
it's all backwards. What's with that?
Yeah. Man, it starts out strong.
Trav says, "How's Blow not on this list?" I've never
Blow's
seen that
good.
film. I've not seen a ton of.
I realized making this list, like I have seen a ton
of
like,
Johnny Depp films.
Some honorable mentions. Blow would be one. Lone Ranger, we talked about that a little bit. Really like that. Dark Shadows, the movie that everyone hated.
Dark Shadows,
pretty decent.
Yeah, I thought that movie was okay. I mean, it was very it's very stylistic, and I'd rather there be a billion movies like that than like a fucking cookie cutter.
He had a cameo in 21 Jump Street, which was and I forgot he also had a cameo in Jack and Jill.
Yeah, he's like on the sidelines watching a basketball game or something at one point, I think.
There you go.
There was another thing that I want. Oh, he was in Orient Express. He was like the guy that got killed.
Oh, really?
And that movie's a masterpiece, but he's in it for like 5 seconds.
I've never seen that.
And he was also in like The Crimes of Grindelwald. He plays like essentially, you know how like in Lord of the Rings, there's a dude that came before Sauron as like the bad guy. There's like how it is in Harry Potter before like the main bad guy. There was a guy that came before him called like Grindelwald, and like he plays him. But then he got fucking canceled and fucking they recast him. And it was like, ugh. But anyway, enough of the fucking bullshit. Enough of the crap. Enough of all this bull poop. We love Johnny Depp on this podcast. I think. I like him.
Yeah. I mean,
enough to make a top 5.
He's a great actor. There's no two ways about it.
And I think, like the Spider-Man song says, he's been vindicated.
There's one moment from the trial that sticks out to me. Like, I didn't watch it.
I know what you're I think, is this the mega? Yeah.
So this douchey lawyer is like trying
this guy was the dumbest piece of shit ever.
Yeah,
it was like
basically get attention.
Yeah.
Draw attention to himself, but he's like... And Depp's reaction to this was like perfect.
Yeah.
He's like, so after that, you poured yourself a mega pint of wine? And Johnny Depp was like...
He's like, what's a mega
What's
pint?
a mega pint?
Yeah. Yeah, this... It's funny.
I thought he handled that so well.
I wasn't really like watching the trials much, but my mom was always just like asking when they were gonna like say that Johnny Depp was innocent, because she was just like, fuck this, because she was like, it was so much bullshit. Yeah. And
he did make me cringe quite a bit during some of that, but overall,
I think it was obviously both of them were playing it up because they were trying to. I mean, it's an acting thing. It's trying to convince the jury or the judge that like you were correct, because it's all about he said she said, because it's all about the he said she said bullshit. Want to leave with a fat lip.
Yep.
So yeah, man, I think we've done a good job so far talking about Johnny Depp, but I think, are you ready to get on to the the main event of talking about the feature presentation? What do you think about that logo?
Whoa!
I know, right? You should tell everybody about or do you want to tell everybody about that email you got, or no?
No.
Okay.
It's not worth it.
Well, now I look like an idiot. Thanks, Matt.
No, it's a mystery for the listener.
Oh, maybe it'll be a buddy tale one day. Get us to 1 billion.
The legendary tale of the email I saw.
Well, could be $1 billion idea. I don't know how.
But, I'm not going to do it.
$1 billion idea of seeing an email. Couldn't be any worse than
it was barely worth even sending you a text.
No, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
that was
like pretty funny.
So keep watching it, maybe one day.
Yeah. I will never
get us to 1 billion subscribers, and that'll tell what happened.
Yes, if we get to 1 billion,
yeah,
I will tell that amazing tale.
I think that's more subscribers than anyone's ever had on YouTube. Damn it! If we get to 1 million subscribers.
Get into Ed Wood.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
So, yeah, I hadn't seen it in 15 years. I wanted to watch it again and see what you thought.
This is one that
I loved it.
I bought this on VHS. I bought this on DVD, and I was waiting to watch this, and I never...
Really?
Yeah.
Dude,
I have a bunch of copies of this film. Because I was so excited. I was like, man, this looks so cool. It's Tim Burton. It's Johnny Depp. It's like talking about like this... essentially like anybody that makes anything that's like actually original praises like Ed Wood. Like AVGN, fucking John Carpenter probably has talked about him. Like any of these filmmakers, like... it's just like John Waters. It's like anybody that has a vision and like doesn't give a fuck what other people think, because in the end they're vindicated, because all these films are talked about in like high regard.
Yep.
As opposed to the fucking factory that shits out like a Marvel movie every month. It's like,
yeah. So I remember when I was a real little kid, my dad rented Plan 9 from Outer Space, and I was super excited about it. Like, we're gonna watch the worst movie ever made. Because it somehow got that name attached to it over the years, and like it was great. Like it's a fun movie, but I didn't really know who Ed Wood was.
Yeah,
I remember when this movie came out, it was highly critically acclaimed. Mm-hmm. Like Siskel and Ebert loved it. It won a couple Oscars. Yeah, but I wasn't super interested in seeing it at the time. Yeah, but when I was finally old enough to like see it, I was like, whoa, I think this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Then I was talking about it. My dad bought me the box set after that, and I watched a bunch of Ed Wood movies and loved them. So, well, I didn't love all of them, but I loved some of them. Right.
Spoiler can be said for some people.
Yeah, very true.
One of the things that I definitely thought like about Ed Wood just in general was like you said, it's one of those things where, you know, he got the, worst movie of all time, worst director, and it's like, that's not even fucking close. Some of these films, not only I've seen on the podcast,
we've watched way worse movies on the podcast.
Yeah, and I've seen worse movies outside the podcast that I wouldn't want to subject fucking like, well, I was gonna say Adolf Hitler, but fucking that guy's an asshole. But they're just shit. It's like. Because, I don't know. I've said this a bunch. I don't know. Maybe I've not said it on the podcast before. Maybe I have. But, the worst thing you can do with a movie is make it boring. I don't give a fuck if it's so-called bad. Mm-hmm. But if the movie just is boring, then it's like, what's the fucking point of this? You might as well just, look at a wall. There's no entertainment.
That's what makes it fun. Even The Room. A bad movie, that movie's great. Yeah. Because it's totally, funny. It's unique. Yeah. Nothing has ever been made like The Room. And will ever be made again.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it reminds me of, like you said, The Room, Birdemic, any of those movies, or even the movie with Tim Burton, or not Tim Burton, Tim
Allen
Curry.
He's like
Tim Curry, where he dresses up as a woman, kind of.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show,
where it's shown all the time, and people go, they dress up, they sing along. It's it's a cult thing, and some people could say that movie's bad, they might not like it, but it's entertaining, so who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas a movie that's made and it's it comes out and then nobody's rewatching fucking Doctor Strange. It's just, it comes out, you watch it, and it's well, this is just one piece of the puzzle in the overall thing.
Thank you, Mega Corporation, for providing this piece of content.
Yeah. So I would rather that, companies make something interesting. And I think that this is what was achieved.
So I'm getting the feeling that you like this movie?
Yes.
Nice.
I love this movie.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was even better watching it again. This movie's so good, it redeems my faith in movies. This is movie magic. It's just outstanding.
It's funny because this reminds me a lot of Man on the Moon with, because it's there was a period in time when they were making, around this time when they were making biopic movies where it's Ed Wood or Andy Kaufman or they had a bunch of other ones too. Some of them
Gods and Monsters,
not super great, but some of them were good. Like this one, or I thought Man on the Moon was good, but some of them were not. But it was a trend. And I kind of wish that they... I mean, I guess they do that sometimes as well, but they come out with, like, ones that are kind of shit nowadays. Like, they don't... Like, this movie not only just tells the story of Ed Wood, it's like if Ed Wood made a fucking film about himself somehow. Like, it's very, like, you can tell that everybody involved gave it... Like, they liked him. You know what I mean? It's like when the Wachowskis made Speed Racer, as much as people, like, say, like, oh, whatever, this or that about it, if you've actually seen the original source material, they loved the source material, and you could see it on the screen. It's like... Totally. You know... Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Ed Wood, like, if you read about his real life, it's like he had his ups and downs and, like, kind of became a tragic story by the end of his life. But, like, at least he made some great movies and is remembered to this day.
Which is better than somebody that's made, like, an awesome movie and no one... Well, I guess if you made an awesome movie, people would give a shit about you. Fuck you, Orson Welles. You made a good movie, but you fucking suck. Fat weak. Speaking of which, who's the person that played Orson Welles in this film? It was like he sounded... I almost thought it was the guy that did the voice for Brain from Pinky and the Brain. Okay.
So the guy that played him...
Did he get... Was it him or did he get dubbed?
No, he got dubbed.
That's what I thought because it seemed really weird. But it sounded really a lot like him because he did an impression of him on The Critic at one point, like Orson Welles.
Yeah, he does a good Orson Welles. It was Vincent D'Onofrio. He's an amazing actor.
That's what I thought.
He was in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, and he plays like Kingpin in like Daredevil. Which, have you seen that show?
No.
I know you're not like a comic book person, but like, well, no, you don't hate it, but we were talking about why. You know, it's not super great. But like Daredevil was like one of the shows that I watched that they made because it was not made really with Marvel. It was like the character, but it was on Netflix. But it was really good. He plays like the Kingpin, and he's like huge in that show.
Yeah, he's
he's in like a lot of great stuff.
Men in Black.
Yeah. Here come the Men in Black. Speaking of Men in Black, this was in black and white.
Nice.
Which was awesome. It was very it was very stylistic too. That was another thing. That's something that this movie has in common with Yellowjackets. It's like the fucking cinematographers need to get a fucking like BJ or something. Or like paid a lot of money because it was it was awesome.
It's a beautiful looking movie for sure.
Black and white, the contrast and everything is like perfect. It's like for it being like what it is, and it's like they do such a great job of making you feel like you're watching an old black and white film, but you know it's very everything's very prominent. You can tell what everything is.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But I guess if we haven't already given it away, this came out in well, I didn't say it was 94, but it's a biographical comedy drama film about Ed Wood, starring Johnny Depp as Ed Wood, and Tim Burton directed this and produced. I don't have a writer here, but I would assume everybody was kind of involved with that, maybe. Even the people that catered. We talked about black and white. At the beginning of this, Criswell, I think his name.
Yeah.
The dude that we talked about before, John Jones, comes out of the coffin. He's like, "You are about to see a tale of, the life of Ed Wood," which is really cool because not only is he narrating it from like the future out of a coffin, he's in the fucking film as that character. So it's like. Yeah. It lends an even more like supernatural, mysterious,
and that's it's also the way that Plan 9 from Outer Space starts with Criswell, like giving the intro.
It's like Mysterion,
yeah, Criswell.
But like, I really loved like the credits, like the awesome stylistic coffins. They had like the flying saw. It was essentially every movie he made that was kind of big had like a nod to those. It was like,
yep, love it.
You know. You say whatever about Tim Burton now, you know, certain things. I mean, obviously earlier I was like, some of his films haven't really landed for me now, but like, he, you know, when he gets it right, it's like nobody else does it like Tim Burton. That's why everybody talks about that Tim Burton style. And then even like the Batman animated series, even though it's someone completely different, like drawing it like Tim, what's his name? I forget, but like they take obvious cues from the Tim Burton feel because everything's the high gothic, you know, and that's why I think Batman has gone on to be what kind of a character everybody, even if you're not, super into superheroes, everybody's like, man, Batman's fucking awesome because it's just that look. You know what I mean? Yeah. That like no other
individual
character has, and when other people try to copy it, it's like that's just a Batman ripoff because that's fucking what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's also nice to watch this movie and pretty confidently say like Ed Wood would have really liked this film, like loved it. He probably would have. I don't know. I can't really sit here and say I've never met the guy, obviously, but like.
Yeah, so that leads into one thing I wanted to bring up was we haven't talked about yet is Martin Landau.
Yes, as Bela Lugosi.
As Bela Lugosi, he's amazing in this. He won the Oscar for it.
Dude, holy shit!
Yeah,
they actually fucking did it right for once.
He beat Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction, and Gary Sinise in Forrest Gump as Lieutenant Dan.
Damn.
So it was a stacked category, but Martin Landau won. He deserved it. Like he's amazing.
Those are all great films and great actors, but it's nice to see
they got it right for once. Although, I mean, I would have taken Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, I would have taken. Either one of anybody on that list is great. Like that's legit.
Yeah, so probably his finest moment. But he's amazing in this. Totally channels Bela Lugosi. Although apparently his son was disappointed because I guess he said he was a true gentleman and would never
would never cuss, and they might have embellished his character.
Yeah, they took some license with it to make it more
entertaining. So
this is not a documentary. It's not real, but it's
this is real. I like the miniatures in the beginning. They show Hollywood, and it's like everything's a miniature, but it's shot in black and white, and it's shot in a way where like it's shot to look the way it is, but it's not. It's not trying to come off as like anything more than it is. So I'm not watching it and being like, this is the fucking cityscape for like a huge epic movie, and they're trying to pass it off like that when it's like garbage.
Yeah.
So. It's great. I guess we get into like some of the stuff. I guess we've already kind of talked about some of the stuff about it.
Just to get the Oscars out of the way, it was nominated for 2 Oscars and it won both.
I'm shocked that it got nominated because it does deserve to be nominated, but it's like
and best makeup. It won the Oscar for best makeup, which was, I guess, for Martin Landau maybe.
Yeah, and a black
and white
film.
Made him look a little bit.
I mean, I will say like. It definitely, like, every scene Martin Landau was in, they had him in, like, Dracula makeup. So it's, like, his whole persona was
basically made him look old and sick.
Yeah. But, like, I think the black and white lent itself to that really well because, like, it would definitely have not looked probably... It would have been a task to make it look as good, probably, in, like, color. And I think that's just how it is in general. But they did a great job.
I think this movie probably should have been nominated for Best Picture.
It is kind of weird how it didn't.
Because here's the ones that were nominated: Forrest Gump, which won. Yeah. Which I'm not. That's fine.
I think the movie's like definitely like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was like huge at the time. It's one of those deals that I think. Like I'm with you. Like I watched it, and I've maybe watched it one more time since then.
Yeah. Like
but it's not like one of those films where like I watch it, pretty frequently.
Yep.
I don't hate it. It's just kind of like it's
4 Weddings and a Funeral, Pulp Fiction, which probably should have won, Quiz Show.
I've never
Shawshank
heard of
Redemption,
Quiz
which
Show before.
Is also overrated. I think.
Have you ever heard of that Quiz Show?
I have seen it. It's just a good movie.
Never heard of it. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. Yeah, that's so weird that those got nominated. Like obviously, Pulp Fiction, The Shawshank Redemption for sure, because I think that's like a pretty great film.
Yep.
And Forrest Gump because. Yeah, it's a great film as well. It's just not something I watch a lot.
Why wasn't True Lies on this list?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ed Wood should have.
Yeah.
Probably better than a couple of
Quiz Show, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Okay. They had to throw in some bullshit picks. Yep. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. That's why I'm even more shocked that he actually got that he got nominated and won.
Yeah, Martin
Landau because if your film doesn't even get nominated, like what the fuck?
He's like,
yeah, he's looking like Bela Lugosi. There's a scene early on in the film where Ed Wood is they're in bed and she's like, "Where's my pink sweater?" And Edward's like on his side, like he's like,
Are you glad you saw Glenda before?
Yeah, this? I think this was. I was gonna say like this was like an additional behind the scenes sort of like look at the whole thing, and then like you said, it's not like it's not like this is real life, but it was. I think they put enough up on the screen to make it like. I would assume like they didn't make a bunch of bullshit up that didn't.
Yeah, I mean they clearly recreated some of the scenes like very accurately.
They even like they recreated the last scene where it's like, or when he like comes out and like she gives him the sweater and stuff. And it's like it's interesting to see that like she eventually just couldn't take it. Like in the film, it's like she accepts him for who he is. And, like, she does for, like, a little bit, but it's just enough to, like, get through what she needs to. And then she's like, you people are fucking insane. Fuck you. You're making shit
Why do you hang out with all these weirdos?
Yeah, she's like, you're making shit movies. And then she, like, runs out. Who was that again? It was, like...
Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker.
Which I liked her in this.
Yeah, she did. I don't think there was a single person I thought did a bad job.
No.
You didn't do a bad job. Good job.
But we brought it up, or we talked about it quite a bit when we did Glenn or Glenda. But the line where she says, I don't fully understand, but maybe together we can work this out. Like, that's the total opposite of where our culture is right now. Yeah. Like, I fully understand everything, and I will never listen to a different opinion. Like, if everyone could take that stance, like, the world would be a better place.
I didn't hear about the women playing in high school, so it didn't exist.
Yeah. But I mean, our previous episode on Glenn or Glenda because that's his masterpiece in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, I mean me talking about that when we did like a remote, like that's one I wish we would have been able to do in person. But that one was one that when I was talking about it, I honestly it's the closest I think I've ever been to like crying on the podcast because I was like, I don't know. It's weird because like I mean obviously certain things are like back in the day, they were like, men aren't supposed to get emotional and stuff, but it's like, how can you not like cry or get emotional with, especially because that doesn't just apply to like somebody that's like, wants to dress up as a woman or that's like straight and like, or gay or like, trans. It's somebody that's like, just wants to be accepted for who they are. I mean, when we were growing up and like, I was like a nerd and stuff, freaking, I didn't have like a girlfriend and like I'm sure there were a ton of people that like grew up like that were like just want to be accepted and wanted somebody to like like them for who they are, which it's awesome to see that happen too.
Yep, love it. So did you notice that the dude that he, like the old man that he buys the stock footage from was the guy that played Oldie Oldson on Conan? Did you ever see one?
I've never heard of that.
That was like a segment on Conan.
I didn't used to watch Conan a lot. Like I would, but like we weren't like late night people. I know you guys watched it a lot more than we did. But there was a guy.
They would always have a joke where like, let's see what Oldie Oldson has to say. And there was that guy, and he was just like an old man. He was also Blue and Old School. You're my boy, Blue. Yeah. But I always love when that guy.
That's hilarious.
Oldie Oldson.
Yeah, like he essentially is like, they're just gonna get rid of some footage, and he's just like, it's like literally just stock footage. They're like, yeah, we're probably just gonna get rid of this or something, and he's like, man, I could make a fucking film out of this.
Yeah, it's such a great scene because like he basically makes up a story on the fly that like ties all this footage together that makes no sense.
Yeah,
it's like, and some of his movies are like that.
But it's also like one of those things where it goes to show you, like, other people thought, like, that stuff was trash, but it was, like, because it's funny because you can get B-roll, like, I could go on the internet right now and get B-roll in, like, probably, like, a minute, less than that, maybe, depending on, what I needed from certain sites, whereas, like, back in the day, it's, like, you had to film it or you had to, like, know somebody that could sell you the film. It's, like,
This movie presents Ed Wood as like a guy that loves movies and making movies so much that like he's incapable of like seeing anything
what's wrong with it. Yeah, which is admirable.
I agree.
Yeah, because I'll say one of the things that I liked about. I mean, I loved a lot about this movie, but like the old school screen wipes was really cool to see.
Yep.
it brought me back to like when I loved Indiana Jones and Star Wars. When they did the old school screen wipes, and it was like
very old fashioned,
built on the adventure pulps and stuff that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg grew up with.
Yep.
And it was like when he explains to the actor that I'm sure was on The Sopranos at one point.
He was.
I was gonna say
he played Vito on Sopranos.
Vito. But he talks to him, who's making Glenn or Glenda, like how he dresses in women's clothing, and explaining like why he's the right person to take on the movie. And it's like that was something that like if you told somebody that back in the day, they could be like,
they would like kill you.
Yeah. So like he doesn't go around telling everybody, but like he has the balls to like, or I guess the courage to come out and be like, you know, when he really needs to lay it on the line, he does. We get introduced to Bela Lugosi in like the perfect way. He's laying in a coffin.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. The reason why he's laying in a coffin is because he's like, I'm gonna fucking die soon.
I'm planning on dying soon.
Yeah.
Which this movie is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I was cracking up pretty much from start to finish, but Martin Landau is awesome and really funny in this.
Yeah, Lugosi cussing is like the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
He says, "These days, no one gives two fucks about Bella." Because like Ed Wood is essentially like a super fan of Bela Lugosi, as is
to him like this like washed up star from days long ago is like the greatest.
Right. It's like, I mean, essentially, I think if like anybody today met Bela Lugosi, they would be like how Ed Wood was. Like, like holy shit, because
he'd be like 190 years old.
Well, yeah,
like
holy fuck, he's a skeleton. We've got Lugosi. He's a huge fan of Vampira. He's like, look at the jugs on her. I was like, but it was one of those things where like, like he's like a legend, and stuff like that, obviously. So, and one of the ways that he like kind of like shows the Glenn or Glenda script is like to his girlfriend, or I guess the way is he gives it to her. She comes out of the room and he's like dressed up as a woman.
It's basically the real life moment from Glenn or Glenda,
and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" Like earlier, you were talking about how like he doesn't see anything wrong with like his stuff. He turns a negative into a positive. Is like he's like, they're like, "Don't you want to take a second, do a second take for coverage?" And he's like, "What for? It was perfect." And it's like there are no like dailies, so he wasn't able to like look at it. He's just like, "It's great." They're filming, and he says, "Oh shit!" They're like cops, and he's like, "We don't have a permit. Let's get the fuck out of here."
Run.
Yeah.
They just run away.
Yeah. Which is like they might not have even like come over there, but it was just like a dude's in dressing in women's clothing. They're filming. It's like there's a number.
That
of
was illegal. That was illegal.
Dressing as a woman.
That's crazy.
In public. Yeah, it's illegal for sure.
Talk about that on Glenn or Glenda.
Yeah, which is like so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like illegal, like to like what? So Lugosi had marks on his arms from shooting up, which was like that kind of becomes like a running thing in this.
Yeah, that's like the emotional core of this movie is like
he's like a morphine addict.
Yep,
that goes into even harder stuff.
Has hard times, and Ed Wood tries to help him as much as he can.
Yeah. So there's plenty of funny parts here, but we've got Mr. Lugosi for his scene in like the first scene he's going to be in an Ed Wood film for Glenn or
Glenda.
The strings. And he says, one of the dudes comes up, "Mr. Lugosi, I know you're very busy, but can I have your autograph?" "Certainly." "You know which movie of yours I love, Mr. Lugosi? The Invisible Ray. You were great as Karloff's sidekick." "Karloff? Sidekick? Fuck you! Karloff does not deserve to smell my shit! That limey cocksucker can rot in hell for all I care." And then Ed Wood comes over. He's like, "What happened?" He's like, "How dare that asshole bring up Karloff? You think it takes talent to play Frankenstein? It's all makeup and grunting." And he's like, And then he's like, "I agree with you 100%. Now, Dracula, that's a role that requires talent. Of course, Dracula requires presence. It's all in the eyes and the voice and the hands. And it's just like, okay, do you want to calm down? And he's like, bullshit! I'm ready now! Roll the camera! And then he does like a perfect job, but it was like,
yep.
There was some beef, obviously, but it's like, I guess
I don't know if that was true or not.
Yeah.
It could have been made up, but it's funny either way.
Yeah, it was funny because any time that like, and it's like it kind of comes up later where he talks about like, he's like, I turned down Frankenstein. I thought it was below me and stuff like that. And it's like, I mean, can you imagine Bela Lugosi playing both Dracula and Frankenstein's monster? Like, that's two horror icons as one person. It's like, but I mean, he's like iconic.
He would have had two parts in Abbott and Costello.
I know, right? He's like,
yeah.
Also behind the scenes for Glenn and Glenda, Ed Wood's car is like fucked in this film, and it progressively gets worse.
Yeah, I mean, he struggled his whole life basically to like make ends meet. Make movies. So
like at the end of the film, they premiere Plan 9 from Outer Space, and they've got like a full crowd, and he's like, "This is it. This is the one that's gonna make me a big star." And then like that's the end of the film, and they're like, Ed Wood never got success. But it's like he did, because we're talking about him fucking right now.
That's true.
That's also true. They're watching it, like Ed or Glenn or Glenda, like the dudes, because like they're screening the film in like a screen room, and one of the guys says, "Is this a real movie?" And I was like, I feel like that's what I say a lot when I'm watching some of the films on this podcast when they're horrible. I'm like, is this fucking a real movie?
This is real.
But then it becomes like not funny, and it becomes sad because they think it's like a joke, and they're laughing at the idea of someone transitioning, and then also Ed Wood's story of being a closet like person that dresses in women's clothing. And it's just like you watch it, and especially now, like I watched it and I was like, man, this is like sad, because like they're laughing at these people's fucking lives, but they think it's a joke, because back then, like you were saying, I mean, it's like you could be fucking arrested just for women wearing women's clothing on the street, like in public. We've got some old school wrestling with George the Animal Steel.
Yeah, as Lobo.
Yeah. Lobo. Wasn't it a Star Wars guy? Lobo? Lobot, that's what it is. There's a character in what's this called? Lobo. In DC called Lobo, and he's like a space, like a guy on a motorcycle that goes through space on a motorcycle, and he doesn't wear like a helmet or anything.
Cool.
He's like as powerful as like Superman. It's awesome. I really wish that they would bring him in and stuff, because he's such a cool character. But anyway, he gets a call from like Bela Lugosi at night, and it's like he kind of like overdosed or something happened, and like that's when he kind of finds out that he's got like a major drug problem, because before that he's like, man, I'm so tired, I gotta go take my medicine. And then he's like, I'll get it. And he's like, no, I'll go get it, because he doesn't want anybody to know. And he goes to the other room, and he's like, drops his needle or something. He's like, fuck! And he's like, what's going on in there? But the way they shoot it is so cool. He goes into the other room, and it's like, it's very like...
there's a curtain, but you can see the silhouette through it.
Yeah, it's very horror movie-esque.
That was a great shot.
Like, it was like, dude... Yeah, everything is shot really well and with purpose in this. It's not like they just did shit and then was like, okay, maybe this will work out.
Yep.
But like, let's see here. Yeah, like one of the other funny things is like Ed Wood. They take Bela Lugosi and they mix it up, and like he can't do his lines as Dracula because he's like, they changed shit. What the fuck is this? And then he finds, like, Criswell, and this guy's, like, actually really nice. He's just like, oh, you're fucking awesome, Bela Lugosi. Like, and he's, like, pretty much like a charlatan. Like, he's a psychic, but he's not. But when Ed Wood finds out that he's not a psychic, he's like devastated. But then he's like, yeah, it's all bullshit. I just like make up everything and everyone believes me. And he's like, once he finds that out, Ed Wood's like, wait a minute. And he like uses that from now on to like pretty much get his movies made.
Criswell is so weird in those Ed Wood movies, man.
Yeah.
Weird dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a character that like it just reminds me so much of like John Waters stuff.
Yeah, because like it's a similar, like it's a group of weirdos that are assembled to make movies, just like John Waters.
They've got like Criswell, this random wrestler guy, fucking
Bill Murray, Bunny Breckenridge.
Yeah, a guy that like is always is gay, but it's always talking about how he's gonna be a woman, but he never does, which is whatever. But like he's but he's like a really close friend of him.
What'd you think of Bill Murray in this?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, this is one of his better, probably best
I
movies.
agree. Like I don't. So I've said it before. I mean, I don't hate Bill Murray. I think he's fine. I think a lot of people think he's God. He's definitely done a lot of really funny comedic stuff. But I don't hold him in as like high regard as some people. But having said that, he's awesome in this film. And then also like Vampira, it's like all these different characters they have just that are like you said, like eclectic, interesting people that are just like that in real life that they bring together in this film. And that's who Ed Wood surrounds himself with because these are like his friends. Like he just puts his friends in these movies and stuff. And which is, I mean, Kevin Smith does that still, and it's like there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Like, you know, a lot of times Hollywood won't cast or make the movies that people want to see, so you have to do it yourself. So, he's like, how did we do? We didn't make a nickel. Yeah. I thought this part was hilarious, though, because he's like, I don't know how long this is into the film, because the film's kind of longer, but it's like, I can't remember how far this was into the film, but he's like, which dress is best for you? And he's like, well, I'm colorblind. And I'm like, this is your fucking, like, cinematographer lighting guy, and he's been colorblind this whole time.
Hilarious joke.
He's like, I like the dark gray one. And he's like,
We talk about my favorite scene, or I was dying laughing. The scene where they're making Bride of the Atom, which became Bride of the Monster, and like, it starts with Bela Lugosi, and he walks through the door, and he's like, all right, you walk in, you're upset, and he's like, I'm not that upset. Yeah. Like, and then he just walks through the door.
He's like, you've got to get through that door.
And then the next scene is Tor Johnson. Yeah. And he gives him the exact same direction. And he does the same thing.
And he hits the fucking wall. And he's just like, don't you want to retake that? He fucking slammed into the wall. And he's just like, that's something that he would have had to have, done multiple times and dealt with on a daily basis. It's perfect. And I'm like,
brilliant. I was dying laughing.
Yeah.
That's just so funny.
They steal an octopus and Tor Johnson like breaks the lock with just his hands. I was like, holy fuck.
He's like a real life Hulk.
And then he gets smashed by it and he's like, this is better than wrestling. I'm like, Jesus.
It was also so funny when he was like, did you get the octopus motor?
And he was like,
no.
He's like, no one ever said anything about
as if
octopus.
that's like a thing, an octopus motor.
Yeah, and he was just like, shit. But it was just he's like, Bella, you gotta like get in the water, and he's like, are you kidding me? And then he's like, yeah, and it's like, he shoots up again, and then like drinks the whiskey or whatever. He essentially is like, I think that's when he was like, maybe like, I could have been Frankenstein, and he's like, Bella, I got other things to shoot tonight.
That's another great scene because he's like, all right, Bella, just move its arm around and make it look like it's killing you.
Yeah, it's like,
but it's also like, that's a very touching moment because Bella like is totally going for it,
dude,
in this stupidest possible
fucking
scene.
movie,
and he's like, great.
He just loves making movies, so it was like he was happy to have work again, and he was like, it's kind of sad because like before he gets out of rehab and is about to pass away, but he's like, when are we gonna make our next film, Eddie? And it's just like, You know what I mean? Like, he is, I don't know. It's just, he puts him in the films because he knows he deserves it. Mm-hmm. Because Hollywood has treated him like shit. It's funny because Bela Lugosi, like a character, like someone like that, like you look at like Kane Hodder and all these other horror icons, they're treated like kings. And like if Bela Lugosi would have been born and like around now, mm-hmm. he would have been like the same boat. Like he would have not been in this, fucked how he was by everybody.
Yep,
he was fucked by everybody. But he steps in the water and he says, "God damn, it's cold." And he's like, "It'll warm up once you get in." "Fuck you! You come out here!" I don't know, like my Bela Lugosi accent is slowly turning into like the Adam Sandler goat. "Fuck you!"
I didn't know you were gonna butt unhook me.
But yeah, I had a note. Bela Lugosi steals the show. Martin Landau, he's so good. Everybody's great in this, so I can't really
deserve that Oscar gold.
He did.
It is nice when they get it right, though, which is super rare.
Yeah. Bela Lugosi. Home. I have no home. Hunted, despised, living like an animal. The jungle is my home, but I will show the world that I can be its master. I shall perfect my own race of people, a race of atomic supermen that will conquer the world. It's like, he still fucking has it, man. Holy shit. I mean, obviously this is like Martin Landau playing Bela Lugosi, but it's like in the film, But then like Johnny Depp comes out dressed as a woman, and he's like doing this like exotic dance, and he like dances with Bela Lugosi, and it's like it just goes to show you how much everybody loves him because they're like clapping for him, and like somebody even puts like $1 bill. I think it's Chris Wool or his friend Bill Murray puts like $1 bill or whatever in his like thigh high or whatever. And they're like, yeah, and then he takes off his mask and everybody's clapping for him because he's like the director and writer, and everyone's like, he's got all these people that are around him that follow him around because they're like, man, this is the greatest movie yet, because they like love being in these films. And that's when she like breaks up with him and is like freaking out. It's like one of the biggest freakouts on screen I've ever seen. She's like, essentially it's like, you people are fucking insane. This is ridiculous. He's dressing up like a woman. You're sick. And it's like, it's sad, but it's like, that's how she feels. Mm-hmm. Lugosi calls Ed Wood again, and he's like, I'm going to kill myself. It's like, he gets there and he's got like a gun, and he's like, let's do it together. And it's like, holy shit. And then he like comes to his senses and like drops the gun, and he starts crying, and it's like, and they check him into rehab. It's like, you gave me the fright. You look like Dracula. He's like, my name is Bela Lugosi, and I wish to commit myself. For what reason? I have been a drug addict for 20 years, and I need help.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because on IMDb, when I fucking got this quote, I need help is all in caps with an exclamation point. Which, when I watched that part in the film, that's not what happens. He's like whimpering and almost crying. He's not like, I need help! Like, yeah. So then like they go to like a carnival. Like he meets this lady that is there because her like dad is like sick or whatever, and he finally kind of like recovers or whatever, and he's getting out, and he's there because of Bela Lugosi, and they start talking, and they eventually start like going on dates, and I guess they go to like this carnival, and there's like a haunted house ride that they go on.
Very Tim Burton-y.
Yeah. And it stops, and he's like, I'm about to tell you something that I never told any girl on a first date, but I think it's important that you know. I like to wear women's clothes. And then she just says, huh? And he's like, I like to wear women's clothes. Panties, brassieres, sweaters, pumps. It's just something I do. I can't believe I'm telling you this, but I really like you, and I don't want it to get in the way, like, down the road. And she's like, well, does that mean that you don't like sex with girls? And he's like, no, I love sex with girls. And then she just thinks, and she's like, okay. And I was just like, this is the reason why movies get made. Like,
yep.
It was like what we talked about earlier, where it was just like, she like doesn't give a fuck about that. She only cares that if like he wants to have sex with her, she, he loves her. and it's like that was something that like his previous girlfriend couldn't understand. But Lugosi can't pay his hospital bills, so like they just kick him out, which I was like, dude, what the fuck? That's fucking fucked up.
Welcome to America.
Welcome, yeah, seriously. They get run out of.
Welcome to Earth.
Welcome to the premiere. They get run out of the premiere, and I think Bela Lugosi says, "No, that was a premiere."
It's just scene after great scene after great scene in this movie.
Yeah. This is one of the funny lines with Bill Murray. Is they need money, like essentially like his landlord comes to collect like his check that's bounced like 3 times in a row, and he's just like, oh, we're trying to make like 12 religious films and stuff. And he's like, but we just don't have the money. He's like, well, you know what you do is you make like an awesome film that makes money, and then you use that to make the 12 smaller films. And he's like, would that work? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I have a script right here, because he's trying to get money from him to help him make his Plan 9 movie. And to get in their good graces, he literally gets all of his friends to get baptized. And like Bill Murray's like, how do you do it? How'd you get all your friends baptized to make your monster movie? And that just goes to show you how much like Ed Wood people liked him. Yeah. And followed him, and was like.
But I also love his reply, which is, it's not a monster.
Yeah.
It's a psychological thriller.
I was like, an awesome line, because he meets Orson Welles, and when he meets Orson Welles, he's like in women's clothing, and he goes over to meet him because like that's like his hero, because he's like, the only people that star and direct in their own movies and write are me and Orson Welles.
Yep.
And he's like, he talks to Orson Welles, and they're like, they see eye to eye like on everything, because they're like, they've the whole thing of like the studio trying to take control of their vision and all this other stuff, and he's like, is it even worth it? And he's like, I had total control on Citizen Kane or whatever, and it was like, they hated it, but like it's, my greatest film. And he's like, visions are worth fighting for. Why spend your life making someone else's dreams? And I was like, yeah. Nice tagline.
Yep.
That should have been the fucking tagline.
That's true.
For one of them. I guess before the end credits, do you have any other notes?
Yeah, just another great line from Bill Murray. Like,
yeah.
I think I don't remember exactly what happened, but he's convincing him to like be in Plan 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
And eventually Murray it's like, okay, I'll do it. And he's like, but I'll need some antennae.
Yeah.
So funny and specific that he said antennae.
Yeah, because he's like, I don't look like an alien at all. This is bullshit. He's like, wants all this extra crap.
And he steals the show in the actual Plan 9 movie, which we're going to watch in October. But like his classic line,
Bill Murray steals the show.
Yeah. Well, your stupid minds are so stupid.
Yeah. It's like, also the whole thing of like Ed Wood's girlfriend's chiropractor. Like, he shows up while they're having a lunch and like adjusts her neck, and his side profile is like perfect for a stand-in for Bela Lugosi.
Like,
He's like, holy shit. And so he literally just comes out and just goes like that the whole time, because like from here up he looked exactly like Bela Lugosi, so they just use his likeness.
Yeah.
And people were like, don't you think that's disgusting? And he's like, no, it's Bela Lugosi would have loved it. So, but essentially, like, they had that whole thing at the end of the film where they're like, this is what happened to everybody, and it's like Ed Wood kept struggling in Hollywood, mainstream success eluded him, and he died in 1978 at the age of 54. It's like 2 years later, he was voted worst director of all time, bringing him worldwide acclaim and a new generation of fans. And then, like, his wife was married to him for 20 years. She never remarried. Bela Lugosi rose from the grave, but after a period, or never rose from the grave. But after appearing in 103 films, he is more famous than ever. Today, his movie memorabilia outsells Boris Karloff's by a substantial margin. That almost seems like it was something that they were like, like you said, they kind of cooked up the heat. Mm-hmm. Bunny Breckenridge, despite much talk, never actually had a sex change. He is currently living in New Jersey. It's like they couldn't have had something else to say about it. Dolores Fuller, which was Ed's like first girlfriend, she went on to like compose the Elvis Presley hit Rock-a-Hula Baby and Do the Clan. And then like Tor Johnson was in a bunch of movies, like B movies, before he became a best-selling Halloween mask. Vampira retired from show business in 1980 and unsuccessfully sued Elvira for stealing her act. Which it's like...
There are some similarities.
There is, but it's like you could also say the same thing about some of the characters like Morticia or like Lily Munster and stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's like... Who made who?
You were right about one thing. For Ed Wood, movies were his prison.
He's like... Criswell continued making highly inaccurate and bizarre predictions, often as a guest on The Tonight Show.
True weirdo.
He departed our dimension in 1982.
Such a great line. Like, so good.
Yeah. And this is one of the greatest films ever made.
I said it when I first saw it. I'll say it again.
Fuck this
I
movie.
like,
you just said, I agree. You were watching it and you were like, I agree.
Yeah, loved it.
The last line comes up about Criswell departing our dimension, and you were like, I agree. He's no longer in our dimension.
I give it a 9. I give it a 9.95.
Times 2.
Cool, man.
Just put your body in overdrive. 9.95.
Nobody's perfect down here on Earth, except for this movie. It's a perfect movie.
9.9. Whoops, weird watches, not weed watches. Weed watches. Okay, so what are you gonna have us watch next week?
So I messed up. I don't have my list in front of me and I didn't pick one, so it'll have to be a mystery until next week.
Too late. I'm like, you lost your pick. I'm like...
You lost your picking privileges.
For life. Jesus! It'd be like... who picked who?
TBD on weird watches.
TBD. Okay, so let me pull up the nominations here. Look away.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
This is always scary.
It is. And it's always hairy. Who picked who? Okay, so my problem is we've had like a couple people in the first half forever that have never been
I think
picked.
just no matter what number I choose, just pick something.
Just make something up.
No, just like make it work.
Okay, so these people have been on here the longest and have never been picked. Okay. So either pick 3 or 4.
Lucky number 3.
Okay. A, B, or C?
B.
As good as it gets.
All right. Who picked that?
Who
picked that?
It was either mom or dad. They've been on here the longest, so.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Or wait, did you say B or did you...
B.
Fuck. Okay. I fucked up. It's not as good as it gets. It's Jaws. My bad.
From Spy Who Loved Me?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's Jaws. Not as good as it gets. My bad.
Well, good thing you told me because you're the only one that could have ever known that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make sure.
You have integrity.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Sorry.
All right, Jaws it is.
Yeah, so Jaws.
From one masterpiece to another.
Or
is it?
Yeah.
Tune in next week
to find out. Pure shit.
Yeah.
It's like
worse. It might have turned into a crappy movie.
It's a rip-off of Cruel Jaws. So Jaws, and then Matt'll let me know this week, and then I will update everybody Wednesday, as I do every week, like what our picks are going to be and stuff. If you're watching it live, you'll know Jaws is, but you'll not know about the other one. So, as in every week, this will be up Monday on SteakBone164 on YouTube. Also, you can interact with us on Instagram and on Twitter. Do you have anything else to say?
I just have one more thing that I would like to say in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.